Oh, motherfucker, you can't have my cornbread. That's for damn sure. Because if you try to take my cornbread, part 2 of my killing spree gonna begin up in here on your ass right now. If you think about my cornbread, get the taste out your mouth. That's for damn sure. Now, fuck him. Fuck that. Because I'm from New York City, goddammit. Nobody take no cornbread from me. That goes for you and any other you motherfucking farmers wanna try some shit. You fuck around with me, it's gonna be consequences and repercussions.
What up, y'all? What's good? Maestro Styles here in the house, y'all.
Yes,
welcome to another episode of the Barbershop Sports Podcast. We're live on the website, barbershopsportstalkpodcast.com. Make sure you guys follow us on Twitter at barbershopspor2. Also, you can follow us on the Facebook page and on Instagram at Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. Trey Frazier, that's Maestro Styles. Maestro Styles is back after being under the weather. What up, man?
I wasn't even under the weather, ain't even the word. I was fucked up.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you.
Glad
you know,
to be back, man.
yeah, that's cool. That's what's up, man. I'm like, I've been sick for like 4 days. I'm not even 100%, so I'm coming into the podcast limping a little bit. But
I'm at like 85 myself, but
no doubt. I see you got the World Champion Nationals. I see you rocking that.
Yeah,
no doubt.
You know, it's time.
No doubt. Yeah, no time. It's time to I guess what they say, defend the crown, right?
Yeah, it's time to remind them for real. I'm just out here reminding them. You know what I mean?
All right, no doubt. I ain't mad. I'm mad my team wasn't there to face y'all. Other than that, you know.
You got the blame.
I know. But, it's crazy. So, my team's been going through these injuries in camp, right? So, Aaron Judge is, got this bad rib, right? So, basically, he's not going to start the season. I think he's going to have to either get it removed or he's got to, get some other kind of surgery. So, he ain't going to be around for the first, few weeks of the season. And then a couple of our pitchers went down in training camp. So now, once again, we got to rely on the backups on the Yankees.
Yeah,
kind of what we did last year.
I haven't even started to try to preview, what we're doing, what we're looking like. I'm kind of back to the same bullshit.
I haven't heard anything. I mean, it sounded like y'all had a pretty good camp. No injuries or anything like that. I guess that's maybe one concern you would have if going into the season is just making sure these guys don't get hurt.
Right.
But other than that, man, Yankees will be starting the season limping a little bit. But we got to show some love, man. The Maryland Terps got it done on the men's and the women's side, man. They win the Big Ten Conference.
Yes, indeed.
And granted, at least on the men's side, they tied with Wisconsin and Michigan State, but nonetheless, it's still, a conference title for the Terps.
How does that even happen, though?
How does that happen? I guess it's the rule. I mean, to me, I think you just give it to whoever's got the tiebreaker.
Right.
That's what I figured, but apparently all three teams get the Big Ten Conference champion hats or whatever.
I mean, I'll take the chip. I mean, I'll take it. It's going to be in the record books.
Yeah,
we the Big Ten champs, but that don't make sense to me.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, if it was up to me, whoever gets the tiebreaker between the three teams, should just should be one person to celebrate that.
And then it's one thing to have a 2-team tie. A 3-team tie sounds ridiculous.
Yeah. I tell you what though, Maryland did not have a good last 4 games, coming down the stretch. Because lost to Rutgers at Rutgers, which, probably should have been a win for them. And then I think they lost to Michigan by 1 point. And I think the only win they had in that 4-game stretch was against Minnesota, which they kind of had to, get a buzzer beater against them. So, coming down the stretch, they kind of got themselves to blame because they get at least one of those. They at least share that title by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But, like you said, nonetheless, I'll take it, man. I'll take it. And as far as the ladies go, I know they're like a 1 seed in their own tournament right now.
Right.
So, I got to tell you, I think, at least on both sides, I think the ceiling...
Yeah, on both sides.
The ceiling for both sides is winning the championship. And go ahead.
No, I was just saying I'm with you.
Yeah, I mean that's the ceiling for me. I think anything short of an Elite 8 appearance for the men is kind of a disappointment. Like at the very least, if they lose, they got to lose in the Elite 8.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna pretend like I've watched every Terps game or really any of the other teams for that matter throughout the season.
Yeah. It's been really kind of a dry year.
Yeah, there's really nobody that's like dominant.
Mm-hmm.
Like Duke is having an off year. North Carolina is really having an off year. I don't even think North Carolina makes the tournament with their record.
Wow.
And then you got some of the other teams. Well, I guess Kansas, you can never count Kansas out.
Yeah.
They're always in the mix, and they're probably going to be 1 seed when it's all said and done. But that Kansas team, I don't consider that team dominant.
I don't pretend to have watched a lot of college basketball. Like I said, nobody stuck out to me. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yep.
When I glance and, I watch it for a couple of seconds, nobody really, I just haven't, nobody's been really a reason to feel like, and even like when you talk about star athletes this year, like who is it?
Mm.
Like, nobody's really sticking out to me.
Nobody stands out, but I think and I said this last week, I think when it comes down to tournament time, and this is really more so a coaches league than anything, I think you're going to start to see those coaches that have kind of been there, done that, start to really, coach their teams up. Like Jay Wright, he's going to, coach his team up at Villanova. The Duke coach, Coach K, is going to do his thing. Bill Self's going to do his thing. Tom Izzo up at Michigan State. The usual suspects are, gonna, kind of do that when it matters most. And as far as the Terps go, this is probably the best Terps team under Turgeon, probably since Turgeon's been there. I think this is his 8th year there, and this is probably, to me, his best team, and this is probably the best shot to really go the distance.
I hope so. Like I said, I'm not gonna say and pretend I got a whole bunch of interesting takes, man. I know Maryland is there, and they're higher than they normally are when they make these tournaments.
Yep.
So I'm locked into that more than anything else. And like I said, just nobody's making any noise, man. Nobody in college basketball is making any noise this year. Like obviously last year we was Zion and Ja later on last year.
Right. He got knocked out early.
Yeah, but nobody's sticking out. And then if you forget that they had that Ja Morant, I forget what school, but they upset in the first round. They wasn't supposed to beat that team that first round last year, and they spanked them.
Yeah.
I forget what the school was, but so that was kind of like where like he was balling up into the tournament, and then he balled and got him out of that first round, and then it was kind of like, okay, now we know this that dude right now.
Yeah. So the Big Ten tournament tomorrow. I think the Terps are scheduled to play Friday night. I think they're 4 seed in that whole bracket right there. So whoever's gonna win these next few games over the next few days that's gonna be the Terps opponent come Friday night, and then I think you got 2 games Saturday, and then you got the final one to determine who wins that tournament on Sunday. So the Terps got a chance, man, and worst case, they can't be no more than a 4 seed when the real tournament starts. I don't see any more than a 4 seed at this point.
Right.
So I guess we could talk about the Brooklyn Nets letting go of their coach. So so surprisingly on a Saturday morning.
On Saturday morning.
Yeah. What you think about that?
I mean, I don't know much about, but I mean, they didn't want. There's some type of Kyrie don't like him, or he don't like Kyrie, or whatever it is. I mean, I can't really take it to be nothing more than what was reported. It was reports that they weren't going to mesh, and that they wanted that Kyrie wanted Ty Lue anyway. So here we are.
Yeah. Ty Lue was a candidate for this job, by the way.
Yeah.
Along with Mark Jackson. I've heard Greg Popovich's name being mentioned because the GM Sean Marks used to work with Popovich back in San Antonio. But I gotta tell you, man, this just kind of came out of left field. So what's interesting is that the Nets last week had sort of this interesting week, right? So when we did the show, I guess it's a couple weeks ago, the last time you were on, the Nets and the Celtics game was on. And as we were doing the show, I was kind of paying attention to the score, and the Nets were down by 16, 17 points for a majority of the game. And then the next morning, kind of find out, Karis LeVert just went unconscious in the fourth quarter. I think he dropped 51 points or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it went into overtime, and the Nets, got a win in Boston. And then that same day, or I should say the day after that, they come home to face the Grizzlies, and they get smoked by the Grizzlies. It was 118 to 80 something. Just kind of a letdown after an emotional win like that. And then a couple nights later, they're in San Antonio. They beat the Spurs, and so they kind of had this roller coaster week. And then after the Spurs game Saturday morning, I'm checking my Twitter or something, and I see that they let Kenny Atkinson go. So my first thought about it was Kevin Durant, and it does kind of sound silly that KD may have had something to do with this because he hasn't played a game yet, and he hasn't played under Atkinson yet. But in my eyes, make no mistake about it, this is Kevin Durant's basketball team. Whether people like it or not, Kevin Durant's going to get what he wants.
Well, like I said, the reports that I read that Kyrie didn't want him to be there anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, the reports that I read, it had nothing to do with KD. It was Kyrie saying that, they didn't feel. I'm sorry, let me take that back. It was Kenny Atkinson saying actually that he didn't feel like that him and Kyrie were going to was a good match. Even coming into the season. Okay. And, I don't know what happened, at this point, why now, you know what I'm saying? But shortly after that it happened, there was definitely reports about how, they didn't really think that it was going to work out anyway, and that it was mutual ways, if you will.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know, man. That does make sense because Kyrie has played some games this year, so Kyrie would know a lot more than Kevin Durant would. But I think in other people's eyes, they look at the situation and they say this team was not destined to do anything this year, even before the season started. we knew that Durant was going to be rehabbing from the Achilles, and we knew that Kyrie Irving at least was to be the main guy this year. So the expectations were pretty low, and then there's this up and down thing with Kyrie in terms of injuries, and he only played 20 games this year.
Mm.
So
when you say it wasn't expectations, you mean they were in championship expectations? They weren't.
Yes, that's what I mean. They weren't championship expectations this year.
I'm about to say they were a playoff team without him.
So no, I agree with you 100%. And they played team ball real well last year.
Yeah,
you know, but I don't know. That just kind of came out of nowhere, and and after thinking about it for a while, I've come to the conclusion that Kevin Durant combined with Kyrie Irving, they want to get a championship in here. Now, Atkinson has done a good job developing players, and I think part of the reason why Durant and Kyrie came to Brooklyn was because they saw the potential with the squad they had last year. And so now, when you kind of see it around the league, I could throw examples of teams being put together under certain coaches, and then that coach is unable to get it done, and then they get somebody else to kind of, take them over the top. Mark Jackson, was an example in Golden State. Kerr takes over. Then you got Van Gundy in Miami, and then Pat Riley takes over. They win the chip. In Toronto, Dwayne Casey, gets fired. Nick Nurse comes in, and then, they win a title. So I could point to many examples of that. And if things go right for the Nets, it sounds like this is sort of the same thing that's going to be transpiring here.
So you think this was a championship play, like for them saying, Kenny Atkinson had a championship caliber coach?
Yeah, I think this was, hey, we've watched you make adjustments through these games, and you've blown some games this year, and we're just saying, hey, we're not sure that you're going to be the guy when you got KD and Kyrie on this roster fully healthy. When it comes to these in-game adjustments and, fourth quarter leads and drawing up plays and things like that. There were some weaknesses with Kenny Atkinson. I've watched a couple of Nets games, and they've blown some leads that they should have capitalized on. So I'm thinking maybe they saw that and they said, you know what, we're not gonna win a title if this guy's gonna make this adjustment, call this at the end of the game. We got to go a different direction. So,
but yeah, I don't know. I think Kyrie Irving just don't want him there, or he don't want to deal with Kyrie Irving. However, whatever that was, that report that I read on Bleacher Report, whoever got an issue with who, I think they again. I just can't put my finger on why it was done Saturday. Yep. But I think it was more that thing. Because I would think Sean Marks, of obvious, Spurs, Spurs fame, would at least give that type of young new coach the opportunity to prove himself wrong. Yep. Then, with the full roster in effect, then just out of nowhere, letting somebody go. Like I gotta believe that something happened behind the scenes. Yep. Where they mutually parted ways because, like I said, because if it was because of Kyrie or Kyrie don't like him and he don't like Kyrie, but I gotta feel like something came to a head, over the past week, and they decided, this ain't gonna work.
Mm-hmm. Now, if they would have waited until the season to let him go, then I wouldn't have had no problem with that either. I guess in this instance, at least it gives the front office a chance to figure out what direction they want to go. Like we talked about, there's options out there. Mark Jackson, Greg Popovich is being thrown out there. Ty Lue is being thrown out there. When it comes to a championship coach, and not to say that Mark Jackson is a championship coach because he hasn't won a title, but I know that from his time in Golden State, he definitely commanded respect from those players. So I think in that instance, I think it could work under Mark Jackson.
Ty Lue's a championship coach, and like I said, It's reports that Kyrie wants Ty Lue. That's the report that, and I'm only basing off the reports that I've read. So obviously, it's spectating.
Yeah.
But I think this was a play to get somebody that Kyrie's familiar with.
Right. So,
brought,
Maestro, so under that determination, do you believe this is Kyrie's team and not Kevin Durant's team?
No, I think that Kyrie Irving want who he want, and Kevin Durant's just cool with Ty Lue. I don't think he got no connection to Kenny Atkinson.
Yeah, no, I mean none of those guys do.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's not like it's not a situation where it's not so much a Kyrie team over KD's team. It's more about KD having a grievance and KD just not having a grievance.
Sure, and that makes sense because Durant hasn't played in the uniform yet. Kyrie has. So I mean that definitely makes sense from that standpoint.
And at bare minimum, you gotta imagine that KD is respecting Ty Lue off the strength that he is a championship coach.
Mm-hmm.
However you feel like he got it, he is on his resume. He's a coach with a rank.
No question about it. No question. And it's just
none of those other candidates outside of Greg Popovich, who I don't really believe is coming to Brooklyn.
I don't believe that either.
Yeah,
I don't believe it either. Now, I guess the narrative with that is that he wants to leave the team with either Duncan, who, by the way, did coach on the sideline for the first time because Pop had some kind of personal thing, so he didn't coach one of those games last week. But
he said he didn't coach. He said Becky did all the coaching.
Right. So it sounds to me like if the narrative is that Greg Popovich wants to leave the team with, let's say, Becky Hammond, I mean, that would be a great power move on his side. I still doubt that he would leave the Spurs just to come to Brooklyn and, try to, cap off a title there. I just have a hard time believing that.
Me too.
Yeah. In regards to Kenny Atkinson, he's going to be highly regarded come the offseason when, some of these bad teams get rid of their coaches and, he's going to be in high demand. I wouldn't mind it if my Knicks went after Kenny Atkinson, to be honest with you.
I don't know why you would do that to Kenny Atkinson.
You said, why would I do that?
To Kenny Atkinson.
Well, I mean, Kenny Atkinson went to a situation similar to the Knicks a few years ago when the Nets didn't have draft picks and, Dinwiddie comes along and LeVert comes along and he developed these guys and, D'Angelo Russell, comes over in a trade and D'Angelo Russell is like the candidate for, most improved player. So at least what we know with Kenny Atkinson is that he's pretty good at putting teams together, developing talent. And
assuming
that's just what the Knicks
that office is going to let him do what he do.
That's a fact. I can't argue that. I can't argue that, but God knows the Knicks need somebody.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it to Kenny Atkinson, man. I would something. I don't know. I don't know what's got to happen in y'all front office. Because Dolan obviously ain't going to sell the team.
Nope.
I don't know what's got to happen, but something's got to happen, and I wouldn't wish the Knicks on nobody. I wouldn't wish the Knicks on anybody at this time.
Yeah, I need to wish them on somebody. Somebody. I mean, Spike Lee can coach the team. I mean, somebody. My God.
I wouldn't wish that on nobody.
Oh my God.
I heard ticket sales went down the next game since Spike Lee first taken view.
Mm-hmm. So there was an interesting story about the next game after that whole incident happened. So Stephen A. made it a point to point out on First Take that there were more African Americans at the Garden, on the, the floor seats than more so than, any other time. And I don't know if he was saying that to say that those celebrities, those black celebrities were trying to make a statement or not. But I just thought that was interesting, one. And number two, I know Oakley came out and was like, the league needs to step in and, do something with the Knicks. Oakley saying that the league needs to pull a Donald Sterling. And
Right.
the way they got Donald Sterling up out of the Clippers, they need to get James Dolan up out of the Knicks.
What it is, Stiviano, man.
Well, it's funny, right? I mean, that's kind of been my wish list, just for the Knicks to get better years ago, when you could just get some broad up in the office and try to get Dolan to say something racist or something crazy like that.
Problem is that he ain't racist.
That's that's the thing. But I think Oakley put out there in the media that he's he's expressed some kind of racism, towards some people, and I think that was Oakley's ploy to try to get the league to get him up out of there.
Yeah.
Now, do I think something like that's going to happen where the league steps in and did to the Knicks what they did to the Clippers? No, they're not going to do it, and here's why I believe they're not going to do it. The Sacramento Kings. When the last time the Sacramento Kings were good? Mike Bibby and Bobby Jackson and Chris Webber, right? It's a long ass time ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. When's the last time the Minnesota Timberwolves were good? Minus the 1 year a couple years ago.
That Latrell Sprewell, Troy Hudson, Kevin Garnett, that Wiley Zerbiak, that whatever year that was.
Yeah, a long time ago, right? Long ass time ago. So I think the league stepping in to get rid of Dolan to me, in my opinion, would set a bad precedent around the league, because it would now open the door for someone like the Sacramento Kings or Minnesota Timberwolves to say, "Hey, you gonna help the big market team out over there? What about us?
Nah, the NBA
we've been bad too."
If the NBA was going to get the Knicks out of there or get Dolan out of there, it wouldn't have been based on performance, though. It would have been based on, to what I think I hear you saying about Oakley and his thing.
Right.
It wouldn't be based on the fact that they're a trash team. It would be based on the fact that James Dolan is doing something unethical enough to get Donald Sterling. You know what I'm saying?
No, yeah, I agree with you if they're basing it off of that.
Obviously you're not going to step in for ineptitude. I mean, if that was the case, it'd be a few teams who have been bad for, like the Kings, like you said, Timberwolves. There's been a few teams that have been bad for a long enough time. Yeah. But like I said, it wasn't based on that. It wouldn't be based on that if it was New York, because while the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Sacramento Kings are trash, their owner per se owners haven't done trash things like give Spike Lee a hard time. Your biggest patron, probably your biggest patron in the past 20 years.
Right.
They wouldn't be giving him a hard time. If the Sacramento Kings have somebody who put that kind of money into their organization, they're not going to be sitting there giving them a hard time about going into the same door they've been going in for 20 years.
Yeah, I agree with you. Kings wouldn't do that to Chris Webber.
Yeah, I can't imagine any organization would do that to any type of a patron who has put in 300, estimated $300,000 a year for 20 years. I can't imagine somebody doing that to an organization doing that to a patron like that.
Yeah, right.
It's only James Dolan.
Yeah, no question. It's all James Dolan. But in order for the league to step in, they would have to suspect some foul play. Something, maybe not similar to Donald Sterling, but if it's unethical, something that at least a majority of the fan base gets riled up over, and the league has to address it just to kind of calm the noise, then I could see the league stepping in. But
I mean, I kind of wish this Spike Lee thing grew more legs than it did. Because if you've been doing it for 20 years,
yeah,
and now you're giving me all of a sudden giving me a hard time about it. I mean, there could be some foul play involved. It just seems like nobody's taking that angle, I guess.
Yeah, I guess the angle that was taken was so check this out, right? So that was the game against the Rockets, which we beat the Rockets, I think, by 2 points that night. Leon Rose announced himself as the new vice president of basketball operations the day before. Didn't do a press conference, but basically kind of put in a letter to fans and to the rest of the league that, he's the new guy, he's going to be doing this, and, there's no pressure for that. All of that got overshadowed by what happened to Spike that night.
Is that normal behavior, by the way?
What's up?
Is that normal behavior for Leon Rose to be getting such a prestigious title in the Knicks organization and y'all not even have a press conference? Is that normal behavior in an organization?
It's not normal. I don't think it's normal. Me personally, I expected to see Leon Rose in front of a microphone on TV doing press conference. That was my expectation. And the fact that they do it tells me two things. Either he just wanted to just kind of just lay low and maybe not, because, the saying is talk is cheap. Let's just try to get the work done. So maybe he had that attitude. Or they just wanted to do something different. That's
stupid.
So it is what it is. It is what it is. And I don't disagree with you. It's just that was my reaction at the time. I expected him to do a conference like normal teams do when you bring somebody new aboard. So
of this caliber.
What's up?
Not like of this caliber. It's not like he getting a fucking equipment manager job. He's the vice president of your team. You don't think that he should speak to the people?
Yeah, yeah. I think he should have. I thought he should have spoke, but apparently they don't think so. So, but all that got overshadowed by what happened with Spike Lee that night, and I thought that, and I said,
hold on, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But do you think they didn't do a presser because of what happened with Spike Lee?
Because of what?
Because of what happened with Spike Lee?
Well, remember, he was announced before the Spike thing happened.
Right,
the same day he put out the letter was supposed to be the same day everyone expected the press conference.
Got you. He put the letter out that day.
Right. So that was supposed to happen before the incident happened. But my point was that all of that, with Rockets, losing to us, combined with getting our new vice president, all of that got overshadowed by, what happened to Spike that night. And I thought this thing could have been, rectified a little bit better, man. Like if you're gonna, and I believe Spike Lee, and I know people that look at Spike and say, oh, this guy was looking for preferential treatment. This guy was like, oh, do you know who I am? Well, you're damn right. Spike deserves to say, do you know who I am? I didn't spent $10 million over the course of my fandom to you niggas. Like, you're damn right. I'm gonna say, do you know who I am? So in my eyes, he deserves that respect.
And if nobody told him about the you can't use that entrance anymore.
Yep.
Yeah, I would be pissed, and I'd be entitled.
Yeah, no question about it. But I think what should have happened to me. Well, first of all, if you're gonna change things, and I don't know if this was because the new vice president came in and maybe wanted to change some things. I know that's like one narrative that was floating out there. If that was the case, and really, even if it wasn't the case, if you're security and you know Spike Lee is, like, I don't care if you're one day on the job new. I don't care if you've been on the job 20 years. You know who Spike Lee is. Right. And if you want Spike Lee to use a different entrance, here's how I put it. Hey, Spike, man, we appreciate you every night, man, but you're gonna come through this entrance tonight, and just know in the future, we're going to need you to take an entrance right on 31st Street instead of 33rd Street. Now, if that would have happened, then that would have just, capped everything. There would have been no issues. We wouldn't have seen Spike Lee, wouldn't have seen Stephen A. first the next day. You wouldn't see none of that if they would have just rectified it right then and there. But you're not going to scan the guy's ticket and then make the guy walk back downstairs, outside, around the corner to another entrance, because you and I, we've been to sporting events, and every time they scan your ticket, if you leave that building, you're not getting back in.
Right.
So, and Spike said, hey, they scanned my ticket. So why are you sending me back outside?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Just another one of those nicknames, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't want to put those types of blunders and that culture on Kenny Atkinson, though. Just to put a bundle on the conversation. I wouldn't wish that on Kenny Atkinson or really anybody. Something major is going to have to happen in the Knicks organization. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to have to happen.
Yeah, it's interesting. Both New York teams looking for a coach now.
So, are you done with basketball?
No, I did want to give a shout out to JB Bickerstaff, who got the interim tag lifted off of him down in Cleveland. So he's got like a multi-year deal. Good for that brother. And I gotta say, this is probably one of the more positive moves that the Cavaliers have made in the last few years. So I can't criticize the Cavs just yet. I think this is a good move. You got an interim coach, and Bickerstaff has been interim. Was he interim in Memphis when they let what's his name go?
Can't recall.
When they let that white guy Jaeger when they let Jaeger go, he was interim for the rest of that year, and then they wouldn't bring him back. So it's nice to see a guy finally get his chance to be a head coach. So shout out to him.
Yeah, got a question.
What up?
Are you ready to look, man? I hate that it's come to this, and I don't. And Ja Morant is my Maestro personal rookie of the year.
Yep. They're
gonna give it to Zion.
Regardless of what happens down the stretch.
I'm starting to feel that way. Unless Pelicans fall down to 12, and they're at 9 right now. Okay. Unless they fall down to 12, I don't even see a Ja Morant highlight on SportsCenter anymore.
Okay. I mean,
all I'm seeing is Zion Williamson. You would think they was in the top 4 of the West.
Yeah, I mean, they got a squad. I mean, let Zion have been there, they would be the 8th seed, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think the Pelicans got too much talent, to be where they're at now, but we understand why they're 9th in the West, because Zion missed, a couple of months of games. So yeah, there's no question that, I think the team is good. I just think they, without having Zion, they're in the position that they're in now. Memphis being the surprise, everybody's been saying they got the toughest schedule down the stretch. The Pelicans got an easier schedule down the stretch. I look at the standings, and the Pelicans are 4 games back. I know they lost a couple games, and I know the Grizzlies have won a couple games, recently. So I don't know if that's the Grizzlies responding to the naysayers or not. But
I'm just looking at media coverage. I'm looking at highlights. Looking at the fact that Zion Williamson is a highlight reel.
Yep.
The coverage that was once on Ja Morant, you don't see it anymore, man. You just don't see it. Okay.
Do you think that that's by design?
I do.
Okay. Okay.
I do. I think it's by media design. They want their number one draft pick to win Rookie of the Year.
Okay. No, I can't argue with that. Because I don't believe that John Morant isn't giving you highlight
He's
reels.
averaging like 17 and 7 right now, and those aren't bad numbers.
Not at all.
It's just quiet. It's just so quiet now. It's just so quiet. Like I can't think of the last time I saw.
And I'm not sure that it's quiet because I don't watch the Grizzlies at night. So,
but in the beginning of the season, when you turned on ESPN, you were seeing highlights of Ja Morant dunking on somebody. When you scrolled through your Instagram, you were seeing it all season until Zion Williamson got healthy.
Of course.
And when you don't see it anymore. You don't see Ja Morant on your timeline anymore.
And like you said, you believe it's by design.
Yeah, it's by design, man.
I can't argue with that. I mean, I think we made the statement a couple weeks ago. The media and people all around the NBA, they want Zion Williamson to win Rookie of the Year. Hell, they want the Pelicans to get the number 8 seed so that it can be LeBron versus Zion. That's what the league wants. That's what fans want. That's what the media wants. No argument whatsoever. John Morant's still my Rookie of the Year.
He's mine, but he's not going to win it.
Okay. I'm still gonna say if the Grizzlies make the playoffs, that John Morant's gonna win Rookie of the Year. I'll still stand by that, and we'll just see what happens down the stretch.
Sure. I hope I'm wrong. I just don't think they're gonna give it to him.
Nah, I mean that's interesting take though. I mean, you haven't seen a lot of highlights from Ja, and it doesn't necessarily mean that he's not, doing spectacular things. It could be like you said, it could be just by design that, they really Zion, win this thing. And they're airing more of their games nationally too.
Yeah,
you noticed that too.
I mean, I think that is, when they knew, he was going to the Pelicans. All right, we need some Pelicans games. I understood that as far as television, but but this the way he's being covered right now. It's crazy.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy.
They want that 1-8 matchup. They want LeBron versus Zion, bro.
Mm-hmm.
No question about it.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple days ago, I texted you the Ben Gordon article.
Yeah.
And you said you read it, and I'm kind of late on this because I read this article maybe 2-3 weeks ago, and I meant to bring it up a couple weeks, 3 weeks ago, and I just forgot to do so. So, based on what you read, I just want to get your thoughts on, Mr. Ben Gordon and what he had to say about, mental illness and all that.
Well, first and foremost, it was a good read. Just right around the type of that I can handle and retain some information. Look, here's the thing. I'm glad he got help. I'm glad he was able to, how his journey went from, his. I guess the overarching theme is that I had a problem and he just outlined his journey to what it took him to realize, oh shit, I need to, or not even to realize, because he didn't realize that they made him go get help, and then when he got help, he realized, oh shit, this is what I needed to get right. You know what I'm saying? So Ben Gordon was former UConn player, former NBA player. I played for Chicago. I want to say majority.
Played for the Bulls the majority of the career. Played with the Magic, and I think he played 1 year with Charlotte.
Okay, but the majority was Chicago.
Yes.
Yeah. And basically he went on to saying, that basically all his life, all of the underlying mental issues that he was having, he was able to channel those energies into playing basketball, and then he became an obsessive basketball player. And when he realized, oh shit, I'm not going to be playing basketball, he didn't have a way to channel those thoughts and, you know, those energies that he was having. And he was like, well, I mean, he said, if I remember the article and I'm quoting correctly, it started all these kind of crazy thoughts started from one overarching thought that if God or who created God, and I guess there came the influx of different thoughts and then it got to the point, you know, I guess that one little thought became millions and millions and millions of thoughts. I mean, the overarching theme was on a loop, where he just had all these different thoughts and
and not really no answers to the thoughts or any conclusions to the thoughts he was having.
Yeah. Or more than that, no focus to even try and gain answers, because with one question came another, and you know, it was just so many things mentally that was happening in his mind, and he had no way to channel that nervous energy or that angry energy, excuse me, or those types of things that he was having. For me, again, I'm glad that he was able to share it, and I don't know how many of these Player Tribune stories happen where a guy just is free to express his thoughts and where he was in his journey to where he got, you know, currently writing the article. But one, I would encourage that, and two, I would gather that if this story, you know, gains any steam and didn't seem like it's going to, based on you saying we got it 2 weeks ago. I mean, players, this is social media, man. That's what I think. A lot of what he did in that Player Tribune article is when you see a random tweet or a random Instagram post that's out of pocket from athletes, that job be their therapy. That be the way they get those, you know, they channel those little energies about, you know, shit they be going through off the court.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised that it rang to me that that's why players probably do some of the stuff that they do. I mean, really much like you know, non-athletes, much like I'm not a big, you know, post my inner thoughts on social media, but I know people who are, and I can see that maybe that's how they get it out. You know, they get it off their system by just throwing it on the internet.
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised if this happens a little bit more. Like I said, I didn't know the story was that old. I didn't bother to look at the date, because immediately after I read the article, I went looking to see if he was trending, or, you know, was this something that was a big deal, you know, as far as how the internet picked it up, and it wasn't. So, but I would encourage anybody who hadn't read the article. It's on the playerstribune.com is where it was.
Yes. Yep.
But definitely, it's good to hear. I mean, not even just Ben Gordon. I mean, it's a lot of players that, you know, you kind of wonder what happened, where are they, you know, where they at.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. I like, right off the top of my head, where's Rip Hamilton?
Well, let me answer that question before I get into my thoughts about, you know, what I read from the article. Rip Hamilton actually was doing some NBA commentary for, I think it's like CBSSports.com.
Okay. Or
something like that. So Rip Hamilton, I think, you know, based on what I've seen from him, looks to be in a good space. But it does not to cut. I'm sorry. It does kind of make me think about where, you know, certain players are. Like now, I'm sitting here just really freestyling in my mind. Like, where's Mookie Blaylock? You know what I'm saying? Like, like you kind of wonder now that, you know, that I was thinking about, you know, his story. Right. I wonder how many NBA players who are retired and had, you know, he had a decent career. How many, where are those guys at now? What are they doing? Are you know, guys who put in their entire life, you know, I guess obsessed and dedicated to this sport, when they are gone and when they're no longer needed in the NBA, where do they go? And everybody ain't becoming broadcasters. I'll give you another name. Where's LaFonso Ellis?
Yeah.
And I have an answer to that because LaFonso Ellis is on ESPN, I believe.
But I mean specifically people where I don't know what they're doing and where they at.
but I think someone without knowing, that's a good question about LaFonso Wellis, because I forgot about LaFonso Wellis before I saw him one day on television, maybe a month or two ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, but kind of get to the article, and when I first saw the link to it on Twitter, I had completely forgot that Ben Gordon even existed.
Right.
It took me back to I remember this epic playoff series they had against the Celtics. It was a 7-game series in the first round, and I think they broke a record for 6 overtime periods in one series or something crazy like that. As a matter of fact, it was Derrick Rose's rookie year that they were in that series together, and I kind of vaguely remember that Bulls team in particular: Brad Miller, Ben Gordon, Derrick Rose, Joakim Noah, Taj Gibson, that Kirk Heinrich. I kind of remember that crew of players, about 10 years ago now, it seems like. But I think what got me from the article was how he talked about how, and I didn't know he was from New York, or that he lived in New York, for a long period of time. But he talked about how he would just go up on the rooftop and just walk around the edge and just kind of have this thought that, I could just end it right now. I'm walking around this edge, with these thoughts, and I could literally just, call it quits, right this second.
Yeah.
And then the other part where he talked about for about 40 days, he just had thoughts of suicide. And, it made me think back to, some of the mental health, issues that, we as a society can, talk about. And I like how he phrased it. And I believe as he was doing the article, he was talking to the players. He was talking to retired players. He was talking to players that are currently playing in the league right now. And he just came out and said, hey, look, it's okay to have mental, illness. It's okay to, go through, the things that you're going through. And then he found out, therapists, what the hell I need a therapist for? I don't need help with this stuff. And then as it got toward the end, he talked about how, it's all right to get help. It's okay at the end of the day, to kind of understand why the thoughts take place, how come I don't get results to my thoughts from time to time, and why I go through this, why I go through that. So I thought all that was, pretty interesting, but reading that, I just had flashbacks of, not really so much his career, but just that particular series against Boston that year. I mean, he was pretty big for them that year.
Mm-hmm.
So, so that's what I got out of it, and I commend him. I give him a round of applause for putting that out there. And not to dig any deeper into the conversation, but it did also make me think about what Kevin Love wrote years ago. I think it was the Players Tribune or a commercial or something, but he talked about how he deals with mental illness. I think DeMar DeRozan came out in an article and talked about how he deals with it as well. And so, the Ben Gordon thing, this is not the first time we've seen players come out and, kind of admit that, and maybe not to the level that Ben Gordon, took it.
Right.
But, we've seen players in the past, have conversations about what they go through. And I like how that's kind of setting the example for anybody that's in the league currently or anybody that's retired, to possibly think about, let me just put this out on social media. Let me put this out on paper. Let me get a reaction, and, we could start a dialogue. So
right.
I commend those brothers for doing that.
Right. So, Mario Moore.
Yes, sir.
Mario Moore has been on a 2-year WNBA hiatus, fighting the good fight
Yep.
And just recently, I'm hoping you remember this guy who was just released from he has been serving his 22nd year of a 50-year sentence.
So not to cut you off. The gentleman's name is Jonathan Irons. Served 22 years of a 50-year sentence for convictions for burglary and assault.
Yeah. So first of all, great. Congratulations. The only questions that I was left with is that why she left the NBA to get this guy out of jail? WNBA, I'm sorry.
Originally, when she first announced she wasn't coming back to play for a while, the reason that she gave, and if I remember correctly, because I remember kind of breaking this on the podcast when she did it, was that she was working in some kind of ministry, I guess in relation to a church, her religion, or something of that nature.
Right.
I don't recall criminal reform as a part of that reasoning, but I guess as the months and years, passed over, these were some of the things that, she got herself involved with. And I think it's a great thing. Not just this brother, but God knows many other brothers locked up that, are in there for crimes they didn't commit.
I just wonder how this story of Irons got to her wheelhouse, and or was this intentional? Was this just a name that popped up, or what was the relation between this story that struck her that she was like, I need to help this man? I always wondered that, even when you talk about Kim Kardashian and Satoya Brown, and
that was the example I was thinking about.
Yeah. I wonder why that guy or why that girl, or you know what I'm saying. I just you know what I'm saying. And I was hoping that it was going to give me a reason in the article that you sent me. But let's be very happy for congratulations. I love to see wrongs righted. But him, I always, in the back of my mind, kind of wonder why him.
Yeah.
Or her.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, whatever answer she gives,
I'm
satisfied with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, there's no right or wrong question.
Absolutely not.
For certain. Yeah, I don't know what the connection is, man. Things like this are always swept under the rug. You know what I'm saying? So when an athlete herself brings it to light, then, we got to commend that, and we're definitely doing that. I'm interested to see now how many more, and I'm sure there's a lot more of these cases to where guys are in jail for things they didn't commit.
Right.
And I wonder how many more of these instances Maya Moore is looking to go after.
Yeah, me too.
And I'll be honest with you, if this is something like, if this is her calling, then I don't expect her back in the WBA at all.
30 years old. I mean, I don't,
Chips, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hall of Famer.
All the Connecticut,
yeah.
All the Connecticut success,
Yeah, Hall of Fame
gold medal.
Yeah.
Hall of Famer for certain. I mean, that ain't she Hall of Famer now.
Yeah, right. Look, if this is her calling, man, I would advise her, hey, you ain't got to come back and play ball if you don't want to.
Yeah.
I'm fine with you, letting brothers free or helping brothers, get free. And that part, I think we got to put this part out there also. Also, make the legal system see, their mistakes. Because obviously mistakes were made when these guys were convicted. Whether it's the jury, judges, lawyers, whether it's any of those legal representatives. Making them understand that a mistake was made has to be put to the forefront.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. the case was thrown, the ruling was changed because when they had tried to appeal, the guy couldn't appeal. The guy who was a witness, the officer, whoever it was, had died of an illness or something of that effect. So, or was he thrown in jail due to the dude not being able to testify back, 22 years ago?
Right. Yeah. That part I don't remember in the article.
I know they spoke on it. I just can't recall if that was the reason why they let him out, because the guy who was involved, the officer, I guess it was the arresting officer or whoever it was that was involved, couldn't testify because he was dead.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
it was something. Now I feel bad for not remembering exactly what happened, but
right.
But
yeah, I got the article in front of me right now. It's just I'm trying to skim through it and trying to listen to you at the same time.
Yeah, nonetheless, we ain't gotta go there per se. Nonetheless, congratulations to Jeremy Irons, and good luck in your introduction back into society for certain.
Jonathan Irons.
I'm sorry. Why? Jeremy Irons is an actor. That's why I keep saying it. Jonathan Irons.
Okay. Yeah, you about to make me find out who Jeremy Irons is now.
Some white dude, but just the Irons thing.
All right. All right. Yeah. Shout out to Maya Moore, and shout out to Jonathan Irons for that. Can we get into some NFL? And
yeah, man. Why is he tripping, man?
He who?
Dak.
Okay. So I did hear something today, right? He turned down an offer.
The understanding is that he turned down $105 million guaranteed, $33 million a year. I don't know the term. I don't know the number of years that was on the contract. Right. Somebody was saying to me, and they didn't confirm that if this was the case. Somebody was saying to me that it was a 6-year deal, and that was his problem with the contract, that it was 6 years.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
yeah, he wants stability.
Well, no, I'm saying he didn't want it to be that long.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he didn't want it to be 6 years because he wanted to be able, because we know what's going to. We know what's going to happen in 2 years. I mean, when it's time for Mahomes to get bread, Mahomes is going to reset the market again. Right. So that going to want in on that.
Mm-hmm. So right now, his comparables right now are Carson Wentz, right? Because he got a contract. Jared Goff got an extension, right?
Yep.
I'm trying to think what other quarterback got his money. I can't think of another one. But if you're looking at
Russell
those
Wilson.
two guys, Russell Wilson. Okay. And who's the highest paid of those three right now?
Russell Wilson.
Is Russell Wilson? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So if Dak is basing this on Russell Wilson, then he's probably not gonna get, the money he wants comparable to Russell Wilson now.
Well, I know on a yearly basis, Russell Wilson is getting 35, Ben Roethlisberger is getting 34, and have Dak. I think Carson Wentz is getting like 33. Something similar to something very similar to what Dak was being offered. I think the only thing, and I heard Stephen A. Briefly talking about it today, is that Carson Wentz got 108 guaranteed, and they offered Dak 105 guaranteed.
Okay.
I know Jared Goff got 110 guaranteed when he got his contract last year. Right. So I mean, if that's the issue, all right, and that's because we could say only thing that Jared Goff has over Dak Prescott is a Super Bowl appearance. Right. But I'm confident that Dak Prescott is a better quarterback than Jared Goff. He's had the better career of, when you compare him to Carson Wentz.
Yep.
Dak Prescott has earned his money. Maybe more than anybody has, outside of maybe a Russell Wilson, as of recent. Of recent
Right.
quarterbacks that got their contracts.
Right.
So I don't know if this is a thing where he's just like, let me see if I can get more, or if he's really just unhappy with the contract. But like I said, I did hear somebody telling me, a Cowboys fan, that he don't want to be locked down for 6 years, and that contract offer was 6 years. I don't know that to be fact though.
Right. So it has me thinking though, back in the previous offseason when they tried to offer him an extension.
And he wanted 4.
Right, and I'm wondering if the extension was sort of kind of the same length, kind of knowing that 2-3 years down the road, this new CBA is going to kick in, the salary cap was going to grow, and like you said, Mahomes at that point is going to be up for a contract. He's going to get his money, and that's going to be about $40 million a year. So Dak Prescott's probably thinking, but even if Mahomes gets $40 million a year. Is that a legitimate comparable for Dak to use? Because Mahomes got the chip.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Dak don't get the chip yet.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and he got it in 2 years.
Right. So I'm not sure that if I'm his agent, I'm using Patrick Mahomes as the example. I'm going to use Carson. If anybody, I'm going to use Carson Wentz as my comparable.
Yeah, and and that's everybody else's argument. Dak should take the money, should take that contract. It's very comparable to what Carson Wentz got. But when you feel like you've outperformed Carson Wentz, and they came in the same year, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe a year apart, or I'm sure.
Maybe, I believe it's like a year apart.
Okay. He's outperformed Carson Wentz. He should get paid more than Carson Wentz.
My mistake. They came the same year.
Yeah, he should get more money than Carson Wentz. Period. You know what I'm saying? So Dallas is lowballing them. I mean, not by much, but hey, put that guap together.
That's their job though. That's the Cowboys' job, is to lowball as much as they can lowball.
Yeah, until I say I'm not taking that shit. Because here's the thing. You're going to end up franchising them. It doesn't work. And I think they got a few weeks before they got to franchise them. Before this don't work and they got to franchise them. Then he's going to get paid more than 33.
Yep.
I don't know exactly what the tag is at, but I'm pretty sure, I'm confident that it's higher than 33. Then you're going to end up paying them more, and then you're going to have to still have this same problem next year. So it's like, just go ahead and get my man right, because you're not going to go looking for another quarterback. You're not going to do it.
Yeah, no. Dak is the guy, if you ask me. And
then you got Amari Cooper, that you got to take care of. And they got. I heard somebody saying they got like $80 million in the cap right now.
Okay.
And like that is real good in their money situation right now. So it's like, man, get Slim out the way, get Amari Cooper out the way if you can. You're probably gonna end up losing somebody like Aaron Jones, but like, all right.
That's the cost. That's the cost of paying your quarterback all the money. But
if Dak Prescott is a deserving quarterback based on his production.
Yep, no question. I agree 100%. I hope they get the deal. I hope he doesn't get the tag. And if he does get the tag, I hope they don't Kirk Cousins his ass. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So.
Here's the thing. Like I said, I don't see that. I don't see Dallas letting him go. I don't see Dallas letting him be able to get the free agency. He'll get up and he'll get, get more money Carson Wentz on the free market.
Right.
He'll get that.
No, I hear you. Hey, I want to say what's up to folks in the chat room. We got Big Cat 303. We got Miss Mocha Bell repping the X Squad. We got Deacon Dell. We got the homie Vince Wright repping the X Squad. And that's it. So I appreciate everybody coming into the chat tonight. to check on your boys. Appreciate it. So I got some thoughts about this 17 game schedule that the league is trying to propose for the new CBA.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm hearing is that they're trying to figure out how to, how the current 16 game schedule is on a rotation, so you play a certain division every 3 years in your own conference, and then the other conference you play a particular division every year, so it's on a rotation.
Sure.
So people are trying to figure out what to do with that 17th game. Well, here's what I think they should do, and I think it's a good idea. And before I get into that, I just want to say that I'm going to be clear. I don't give a damn about the 17 game schedule in terms of whether they actually go through with this or not. 17 is fine with me. If they want to keep it 16, it's fine with me also. I could care less.
I don't give a damn.
But I do have a solution for how they could do this. And I also heard someone say that they could possibly play the 17th game like at neutral sites, which I kind of don't dig that, because how many other like neutral sites in this country are there? I mean, I know you could play at like these college, stadiums, and maybe.
Well, are you going to be playing in other NFL stadiums?
Right. That too. Like you're gonna play in other markets that don't have NFL teams. You're probably gonna choose college stadiums in that situation.
Or
I don't
maybe,
like that idea.
Well, I was talking about I'm talking about like a Pittsburgh-Baltimore game in Arlington. That's what I'm talking about.
Arlington, Virginia.
No, in Arlington, Texas. The Cowboy Stadium. I'm talking about that.
Got you.
Yeah, I'm not talking about colleges. I'm talking about Kansas City and San Francisco and Las Vegas. I'm talking about, what I'm saying, that type of thing, where you get two big name teams in a big market, and what I'm saying, will even though the team might not be playing, you're gonna get to see an exciting game. At least on paper, you look at that game and say, "Oh, this is gonna be a good game." I'm thinking more of that.
Okay. I'm not sure that. I mean, I know we just kind of rapping about it, but
because I didn't even know about. I didn't even think about that. I didn't go that far.
Mm-hmm.
So when you tell me, they were talking about options of how that 17th game is going to play out schedule-wise, I hadn't even thought about that. One, because I didn't. You just telling me about it, and two, because I don't even care if they add a game or not. A few weeks ago, we were kind of on that same vibe. Like, I don't care. Like,
yeah. If you want to add the 17th game, go ahead.
Sure.
If you want to keep it at 16, that's fine with me.
And even because we even talk about that in the playoff format, like if you want to add another team, so okay, like all right.
Right. So here's my solution, right? So kind of similar to baseball, and I don't know if you paid attention to like how baseball schedules teams and all that. I'll give you an example. So the Yankees, regardless of whether they play like the NL East one year, then the year after that it'll be the NL Central, then the year after that it'll be the NL West. Regardless of the rotation of the Yankee schedule, they always play the Mets every year because it's a Subway Series. Kind of similar to the Orioles and the Nationals. They play each other every year. They want to do the whole, battle of the Beltway kind of thing, regardless of what division they play.
Right.
I think it could work in football. I think you have teams where, whether it's the same market or whether it's like a regional situation, I think you have that 17th game be sort of like a regional rivalry between teams. And I'll give you some examples. The Jets could play the Giants every year.
Mm-hmm.
The Ravens and the Redskins could play every year.
Mm-hmm.
That's a regional rivalry. The Chargers and the Rams, now that they got that stadium out in LA, they could play every year. I mean, and then you talk about like maybe in-state rivals. I mean, the Eagles and the Steelers, as a Pennsylvania rivalry, they could play every year. You got the Texans and the Cowboys in Texas. That could be a rivalry. game.
Well, what happens? Are you okay with them playing each other twice?
Say that again?
But are you okay with them playing each other twice a year in the regular season?
Yes, I'm okay with that,
Okay.
and I know what you're referring to. You're talking about, like, in the example of, so let's use our division, for example. I think we got the NFC East.
Yeah, we got the East this year, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so we get the Eagles this year.
Right. So if the Steelers play the Eagles every year, then, yeah, the Steelers would play the Eagles twice a year.
Right.
In the case of the Ravens, they play the Redskins twice that particular year.
Right.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. But I think it could create some rivalries and maybe renew some old ones, in process. Like
yeah.
I could see the Seahawks and the Broncos playing each other every year. Because once upon a time that was a rivalry when the Seahawks was in the AFC.
AFC, yeah.
Yeah, I could see. I didn't even talk about the Florida teams. I could see the Bucks and the Dolphins playing every year.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be lying to you if I was, I was excited about it. I mean, I'm just, it's just like,
I'm not saying that to get you excited.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm just saying, I think I got the perfect solution for what they're trying to do if they go ahead and implement this 17-game schedule. I think this is how you got to go about doing it versus trying to play the game at a new site. And in regards to who would be the home team and who would be the road team, just rotate that every year.
I don't even give a damn about that's like so.
Yeah, just rotate it. Just rotate it every year. Here's what I understand about the rule with all the stadiums is that every team has to guarantee they play in their home stadium 10 times a year.
Mm-hmm.
So you got the 8 games during the regular season, and then you got the 2 games in the preseason. That's 10 games total. Right. If you shorten the preseason, then you could play 1 home preseason game, and that same team could play 9 home regular season games. And you just got to make sure that when you put the schedules together for both preseason and regular season, you just make sure that on a rotational basis that one team, if they get 8 home regular games, then the following year they get the 9 regular season home games, and just kind of go on a rotation from that point on.
Yeah,
it's the perfect solution. I think they need to go ahead and if that's what they want to do, that's how they got to do it.
Hey man, put your petition up, man. Maybe we can get you a job in the NFL.
Yeah, maybe holler at
solving problems.
Yeah, I need to holler at Hove, man.
Oh man.
Yeah, give me some work, man. And let me give a quick shout out to Marshall Yonder, who announced his retirement today. 13 years in the league, all with the Ravens, 8 times in the Pro Bowl, 7 times All-Pro. Very important when it comes to the running game. Arguably the second best offensive lineman in the history of the franchise. Shout out to Maestro and Trey, man. Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
In my book.
Another side note, the Hall of Fame game this year is going to be Dallas against the Steelers.
Yeah. Because they got a couple of guys going into the Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah.
Howard,
yeah.
Did Polamalu make it?
Polamalu did make it, yeah.
Okay. And then on the Cowboys side, you got Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. So shouts out to them. And I don't know if this is the last thing you got in your mind, but it's been buzzing. Is LeBron James catching up in the MVP race?
Ooh, that's a good question. I can't front though. This weekend, he had a monster weekend, going up against Milwaukee and going up against the Clippers on Sunday afternoon. I don't know. I keep creeping up the ladder.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's taken the lead just yet. And we got to see how the Greek Freak recovers from that injury from Friday night. If he's out for a number of games, I don't believe he will be, but let's just say that injury's more worse than what it's predicted, I could see LeBron James leaping over the Greek Freak if the Greek Freak misses some extended time.
LeBron James is playing. He's balling.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's important to say, and I know, he's not even the leading scorer on this team. I'm everybody saying all that they're saying, but anybody that's not watching this dude ball like nothing's like he ain't 30. How old he is? 35. This 35 now.
35 years old and still putting up triple doubles.
And he's balling.
Yeah.
Like he's balling
like balls and
he's balling.
Putting in that work.
That's important to say. I'm not ready to count him yet. Mm. But but he creeping. He creeping.
Yeah, no, he
and it don't help. You see, here's the thing, and I hate that we gotta, because Greek Freak, man, he still hasn't proven to me yet in that postseason, man. Like and in these moments, like
mm-hmm.
I ain't gonna rag on him right now. He injured,
But I'll say this in response to that. He's definitely gonna have his opportunities coming this postseason, and if he doesn't get it done again this year, he's gonna have them for many more postseasons. So
yeah,
the jury's still out, but the opportunity's still there.
I don't know, man. Me, man. I only got to see it a couple times, and if it don't happen, I tend to believe like maybe you just ain't got it. And let's be clear, Greek Freak is an amazing basketball player. You know what I'm saying? And he's going to get the stats. He's going to be that dude because he's that gifted. I'm talking about the moments that put you in that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it took LeBron some time to finally get to that point.
Yeah, it did.
It took some time. I think the Greek Freak is deserving of, some of the time. And I get that some superstars, they come in the league. I'll give you an example. Duncan came in the league and off his third, fourth year, he wins a title. And, Dwayne Wade is another guy who comes in the league, his third, fourth year, he comes in and he wins a title. So I totally understand how, the bar is set for certain guys based on, what I just said. But in the grand scheme of things, it takes time with these guys. And if this is the Greek Freak's time, this is his time to do it now. Because guess what? Kevin Durant is coming next season.
Yeah.
And granted, I don't know if it's going to be 100%. I don't know if, in terms of how he heals and all that stuff, that, still is a question mark. But the Nets are going to be, they're going to be loaded next year. So if Milwaukee needs to do what it's got to do, they better do it this year.
And I'll say this, too. We're going to stop talking about Chris Middleton being like that. I mean, he is that number 2 by default, but he ain't shaking shit, man. He ain't shaking shit.
Well, my problem with Chris Middleton is just his lack of athleticism.
He passive.
That's my only problem with him. As far as him scoring, I don't have a problem with him in that regard. I just
you can lock him up if you want. If you decided, hey, I want to lock him up, he can be locked up.
He can be locked up. Yeah.
And you'll forget he.
And that's what I refer to when I talk about how he can move and try to shake somebody. He's not doing that. Would you say? And we kind of talked about the Heat sort of being that one team that could challenge Milwaukee. Who would you say the Heat's number 2 guy is? Would you say it's Bam or would you say it's what's the kid's name? The point guard.
Who you said who?
Who do you think is this number 2 right now? You Bam or do you think it's Goran Dragic?
I guess I gotta say Bam.
Okay.
I guess I gotta say Bam.
Okay. Second best player on the Heat, right?
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I don't think I think they'll challenge the Bucks because while I don't believe that Jimmy Butler's a better ball player than Greek Freak. Jimmy Butler got dog that I don't believe Greek Freak has.
I agree. He does have the dog. We still, and not trying to really hold this against Butler. I got to see the kind of conference at some point. I haven't seen him do it yet, and I know he was close last year. If it wasn't for Kawhi Leonard's shot, but I got to see that guy in the conference.
Yeah. I agree with that, but I've seen Jimmy Butler in games in Chicago, and you know he got that dog in playoff games, and you know Jimmy Butler got that dog.
No doubt. I think I was just telling when I had the mayor on last week, I was just telling him that I think there's two other teams other than Milwaukee in the East that I think has that guy, has that wing player that, you know, that's going to say, get the ball, get out of the way, I'm going to take this. I think it's the Heat with Butler, and I think it's the Celtics with Tatum ascending right now. Because Jason Tatum, and we haven't talked about him much, but Jason Tatum has been balling this year up to this point. And I think Jason Tatum has that mentality like, yo, if I'm going to take the shot, then I'm going to go take the shot.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, we know the Sixers don't have that guy. We know right now the Pacers, you know, with a hobbled Oladipo, they don't have that guy. So, it's
I'm sorry, finish your point. My fault.
No, I was just gonna say, you know, it's really the Heat and the Celtics, other than the Bucks, that has that, you know, that guy that can, you know, take over a game and, you know, take you home.
And speaking of a guy that could take over a game, Bradley Beal might sneak the Wizards in the playoffs, man.
Yeah, it's possible.
He might sneak. I mean, they're not going nowhere. I want to be very clear. They're not going nowhere to make it.
Right.
But I'll take Bradley Beal sneaking my team in the playoffs, averaging 36 points since the All-Star break.
Mm-hmm. What
They're 9 right now.
3 games back, 3-4 games back?
About 4 or 5 games back of the
Magic. Magic, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And the Magic aren't really like the Magic right now is just benefiting off the fact they're in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's really what that's about. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with that statement. I mean, it's definitely possible with the way that things are kind of shaking out.
And like I said, they're still a trash team. They won't, you know. Yeah. I ain't talking about Bradley Beal, you know, getting out of the first round enough, and I'm just putting it out there that Bradley Beal might sneak us into the 8th spot.
Man, y'all, I don't know, man. Y'all might get swept by the Bucks. You know,
it's no question, ain't no might about it. We would be swept. There's no doubt about it. I'm just saying, but I take that because this team is not a good team.
Yeah, I don't
want Bradley Beal to leave, man. I want him to have every record. You know,
get that man a playoff team, man.
Yeah, and it just popped up on my phone. We played Knicks tonight.
Yeah, y'all beat us 1-2 to 115. I know.
He just dropped another 40, man.
I know. And I made the mistake of not starting him in my FanDuel lineup.
Yeah, that boy dropped another 40, man, and he better get All-Pro this year. First team.
First team All-Pro, right?
Yeah, he better get All-Pro this year.
Well, he plays 2 guard, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Any? I mean, is it all pro by conference or?
I think so.
You think it's by conference?
I believe so. Don't quote me.
Okay.
But for real, even if it's not by conference,
he beating out James Harden?
No, but he should.
He should be. So he should beat out James Harden.
He's played better ball this year than James Harden.
Okay.
No, okay. Obviously, I'm reading, but all right, I know.
Stop it, man. Your heart's talking, man.
Yeah, my heart is talking, man.
I understand, man. I understand, bro. Shout out to the number 1 Chief Rocker Jersey firm, man. Appreciate you in the chat room. Shout out to everyone that's listened out. So If you want to catch this on replay, just go to the website, barbershopsportstalkpodcast.com. Also follow us on Facebook page, also on Instagram at Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. You can follow on Twitter at Barbershop SPOR2. Also follow us on the YouTube page that we got going right now. Make sure if you are a YouTube user to subscribe to the channel. And if you got any questions or comments, just hit us up at barbershopsportstalk1@gmail.com. Maestro, you got anything to say? Because I don't at this point.
Nope. Go get some drugs, man.
Yeah, man, I need to get. Yeah.
Shout out to you playing sick, man. Playing hurt, man. I couldn't next week, man.
Yeah. Appreciate it, bro.
And man, stay out here, stay with this corona out here, man.
No doubt. All right, y'all have a good week. We'll be back next week with some tournament talk. Peace out, folks.